Last year in December, I went through an experience where I was terrorized in my own home, and the only people that had access to me was my family. My daughter was smart enough to admit her faults and her flaws, apologized and everything, but my son is kind of ignorant to the part that he played. Um, and it baffles me because I went through so much that I had to leave my home, right? And this is my truth that I've been carrying ever since I got my wellness certification. It just seemed like the walls were talking in my previous home, and went through some weird stuff like notes in the walls, lawnmowers at my windows, and my daughter was claiming that a bag full of tools is what she needed to work with at a pizza shop. When I got her evicted, my son was still in the home waiting on his eviction. And unbeknownst to him, I was just like, I'm just ready for I'm just leaving. I'm leaving. They took it as I was abandoning my home, right? So instead of respecting mom's stuff, they had people shop through my home and rob me, right? I was out of my home because I just didn't feel there were knives all over. There was a wire wrapped log in my fireplace, like someone was trying to start my house on fire. There were so many, and so my cameras were faced to the sky. I couldn't see who was coming and going. My doors were open when I came home from work, leaving it really unsafe for my mother and children that were staying with me, my younger children. Um, they threw out my kids' awards and health information. And since then, I've been trying to get myself back to where I was before, or even better, right? Like I said, my daughter, honest as much as she could be. My son, however, is just so ignorant to what I've been through and the trauma that left, and recuperating from the spiritual warfare that I had to face. And it blows my mind because it's the things that, as parents know about 20-year-olds. By the time you're 28 or 32, you'll find out, you'll get it. But they've been going through some heavy stuff lately, and the only thing I can think of is karma, losing stuff and losing your mind and things like that. It's kind of some of the stuff I went through last year, although the things that they're going through currently, um it is what it is. They have to learn that their decisions and choices have consequences. um but it just is something else, that it's the guilt, I think, about my son and the part that he played, um, disrespecting me in front of the many officers that came by to check on me, and still haven't gotten to concrete about what happened. Like, I don't know if he thinks that I'm supposed to feel guilty, like I'm supposed to need him. I don't. And it's the weirdest thing. It's like there's absolutely no responsibility taken for the disrespect that I've faced from my son. But like I said, um he'll have children one day. you know Hopefully they won't be into gangs and uh Masonic or warlock initiation, whatever went down. But he did ask me, do I feel safer without him in my home? And I'm like, look at the things I don't have to go through. And he thinks that's me asking for him back. It's like the circuits are messed up in his head. I don't want to live with him because I don't want to live in fear of my children betraying me. And I'll say it to any grown person because I know these young people don't get it, which is why I think they're going through what they go through. Because God don't like ugly. You can't treat people any old kind of way and expect to be blessed. That's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You can't treat yourself any kind of way and think that God's going to live inside of your temple. That's not how that works. So as a praying mother, I just wanted to say a few things about what I've observed, and I just It's just very interesting to me. Yes, I feel safer that his father is in prison and he's out of my home. I can tolerate my daughter because at least she was honest with me about the things that I've had to witness and experience, but my son, not so much. He really thinks that I'm asking him to forgive me for him stealing from me. How does that work? And left with $1,000 power bill because all of a sudden we just didn't want to pay anything, and I'm supposed to be a slave driver by asking you to clean your room and mind my home. Interesting. Like I said, it's water under the bridge for me. I'm living a very nice life right now. I wish I could say the same for him and them. Um, but I know that these things take time to learn. I never I had a different relationship with my mother. I grew up with a narcissistic mother that micromanaged and did her own thing when it came to respect and boundaries. Okay, so maybe a lot of that kind of rubbed off on my older children, my eldest son in particular, because again, my daughter's going through a period of humility where she has to face herself so that she can learn how to forgive herself for the things that she's tolerated. And I'm all for the healing, but to gaslight me into making it seem like it's so beneath him, it's so that would cause that cost us the relationship, that cost us the fact that I was grateful that he came out to see me and his siblings for my late mother's birthday. However, that ignorance right there, that ignorance that, oh, I don't know what you went through and blah blah blah, like literally, that's the response that I get when I was literally like terrorized in my home. And there's more to it because I have video where I was almost deleted at my corner store gas station. But somehow, when his father went to prison, all of that stopped. They made my garage into what looked like a freaking crime scene. I don't know which kid did it, but I know both of them were down there when it happened. Crazy, just crazy details. Crazy details. But to him, it was just a Tuesday, you know? He'll never understand why his mother went into some type of protective state, you know? And maybe one day he'll watch this video and say, "Oh, well, let me have some compassion. Let me have some empathy to the woman that brought me in this world." But I just think that he's a little too ignorant. I think that he's mildly undiagnosed. But there ain't no way somebody gonna tell me one thing off of that list and I'm just gonna be like, you want some ice cream? That's just not my MO. I'm a little bit too real. I'm a little bit too involved to just act like somebody going through something is just nothing. So good luck to him and God bless him. And I still forgive him because one day, like I said, with age and life experience, he'll figure it out. And I know that sometimes these kids make decisions that as parents just be really, really like, who raised you like that? And like I said, he insists that I was, like getting a high school diploma or a GED, getting an education or finishing an education, getting his license and getting a car that runs, getting a career instead of just a job, um, cleaning his room and minding my bills. Somehow this turned into slavery. And I don't think he knows what that word means. So I just wanted to take a moment because I said something to him and his sister last night because I wanted her at least to take a good look at what's going on with her so she can make better choices for her future and her son. However, I just don't think that I'm reaching a working number with him, which is fine. I give it to God. I give it to God. But I am a human and I am his mother. And even if he doesn't care, I care. I care. Because you know what? Would he want me to care about him? Who knows? He's so entitled. He reminds me of my mother. Hmm? Anyway, that's just my 2 cents and my thoughts today about dealing with adult children. It's beautiful. It's been a very radiating experience, but I'm not his dude. I'm not his equal. I'm not anything like that. I deserve respect, and that's all I've ever asked for. If you respect me, then you love me, you know? But like I said, 4 out of 5 ain't bad. Hmm?